Who's the vice chair?
Oh, we don't have a vice chair. We have the treasurer and secretary. Gonna do it?
Okay,
Are we recording?
call the work session of the Iowa Wastewater Authority to order at 11:02 on April 29th, 2025.
So I think the other one was just a draft for the water thing, but, one of the things that Donnie and I discussed yesterday that needs to be looked at is the fact that now we've de-annexed a piece of property that's noted in here, which reduces the number of water rights that was noted in here.
Right.
So if there's some sort of general language that they, as water engineers, can put in there, acknowledging. We really don't need to take away from it, because this really wasn't approved in a final form, so all we're doing is finalizing it and revising it. So we're not going back and revising a finalized document, so all they're doing is
Cleaning up this.
cleaning it up,
Taking out stuff we don't
taking
need.
the stuff we don't need, and then we'll finalize it in that form.
There's a fair amount we don't need.
Yeah,
Yes, there is. Fair.
that was my thought too, is that everything that talked about terracotta in there should be removed.
Yes.
And maybe put in, any future
Yes.
developments.
Yes,
type
like
of
our
thing.
comp plan does for the town.
Yeah, and I think the amounts that we are planning on using need to kind of stay in there, but it's just we need to take out that 117 acres that we gave to Mayfield and to Digby.
Now, the property up by the water tower is annexed in. But
Yeah, and I
there's
know, and
nothing
that's
running up there,
that
so
Vista, whatever, isn't
Yeah,
it?
so that still needs to be.
But wasn't that part of this or not?
I didn't see
What do we-
it.
I think it was, I think it was.
It's on the first page. and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do anything with the table
Yeah.
of content in there until we decide what we're gonna take out. So let's move to page. Do we have page numbers on it?
Well, it's number
Page
2,
one.
objectives, and that's,
I started at 1.0 summary of major conclusions. That's
Yeah.
where I found my first one.
Yes, okay,
I found number 5. Cost to address improvements. That is. They're taking the figures for what they originally quoted for drilling that well.
Right.
In here, and that's far exceeded that amount by now. So that needs to be revised to new figures.
can I ask a question first? Are we talking about still using that old well over there by the fire station as our redundancy well?
we don't know yet.
We don't know that?
yet. I
So-
submitted the congressional letter information.
Okay, does this document have to reflect that or not?
So, something in there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Can they create a general language if we're not sure which direction we're gonna go yet? Where it's just giving us a direction like a comp plan that says, here's what we've got. If we suppose this is gonna happen 10 years or 20 years down the road, then this needs to happen.
Right,
And this is the cost at this time with a annual increase accounting for inflation or whatever going out over those years.
but I thought that if we go with that old well, we're gonna eliminate a lot of this cost. We're not gonna have to drill that.
Right,
that
but we
well.
don't know that yet.
Yeah.
We
There's
don't know
really
that.
not much else. I mean, it just says you need a redundancy well to meet the demands and
So right now,
blah, blah, blah. So there's really, that can stay in there. What about number 5, did you say, Kim?
the
Oh, the
figures that
cost?
they have, the costs are revised, the
Well,
figures.
If you had to drill a new well, it's probably.
So right now, we've been afforded the opportunity to get congressional money. Now, it is earmarked for 2026. We came in on the 2026 congressional funding for water and sewer projects. We can request up to $5 million from Congresswoman Boberts. She has allowed 15 of those a year. She's allowed us to come in on her 15 for 2026. If they allow that congressional funding, then that means we will not have to go in on an SRF loan process and increase the debt over this town.
Wow,
It'll be paid for. And the only reason it would be $5 million or in excess of $5 million is if they drill it. And this is at the current numbers that Whitewater's given us. If they drill it and some test comes back high that requires a green sand system, that adds another $1.5 million on their project. So if we don't need green sand, it's in between $3 and $4 million.
But can't we just leave number 5 there? Cause it just says estimated.
I
So,
could, I mean, I'm just gonna ask Brightwater, you know,
okay,
Yeah,
what they propose.
So do you think in like, on number one, we get that general language, cause it's saying, stating a new groundwater well, so maybe we can have them go through. And pull every time it says new, to put in the general language of maybe the existing one too.
Well, I was thinking, we still have this property up here by the water tower annexed into the town. If that one, for whatever reason, ends up going, we're still back in the same situation where we need that well. That well is dictated by whatever development's going in around us, and the extent of that well is dictated by the population that will bring in here. But we also are under the requirement by the CDPHE to have a redundancy system.
maybe we could just say instead of new, an additional groundwater well for redundancy, because that would cover
Yeah,
a new one or an existing one.
yeah.
Additional.
And additional,
How much development can we have around here? Possibility,
with what we've got.
yeah,
So much.
that's what I'm saying.
that's all.
Yeah, that one up there by the
requiring more than we have
tower,
now.
Yeah, 94 acres up there.
yeah, so it's just under the 113, I think it was over here. So we have the potential of still doubling the population of this town
By the acreage up there.
by the acreage up there, yes. We'll be back in the same situation. And this doesn't account for that up there. It's only accounting for what was over here,
Right.
which is confusing to me, because it's the same person with them both under contract. So I don't know why both of them weren't taken into account with this, but we're still in the same situation. As long as that's annexed into the town and the proposal, and it's zoned for development. So if he puts a development up there, we're back in the same situation as we were with that one.
Just a
That's one.
question too, it says the Arapahoe Aquifer, is that the correct one?
That is
Yes,
the correct
Yes,
one,
yes.
yeah.
Yes,
Okay, for both,
that's, well,
yeah, well, that's the one you're gonna have to
That's the
go to
one.
in order to provide enough water.
there
Yeah.
or deeper, but.
For a
you
development.
can't take, they won't, the state won't let you take anything out of the Dawsons anymore.
okay,
So Arapahoe would be the best water
And the
Okay.
best
of
water,
what's left.
yeah. The Denver is not
just
good,
thought I'd double check.
Nor is the Fox Hill, Miami Fox Hills.
No. but that's,
Okay, so. We'll change, instead of a new number one and additional, number five, we'll ask about the costs. Under objectives, we need to get rid of that terracotta in the second paragraph.
I just have to just.
Just
Well,
leave
just change
the
it to-
paragraph, leave the whole paragraph.
yeah,
And I think that's all for that page unless. somebody
Unless-
something else.
Unless they revise that to take into account what's up the hill.
well, can't we, yeah, unless we say any future,
We could just make it
Development.
general, any future development.
any future developments, because that's again. The figures that we're talking about now are, we're almost on about the same amount of acres,
Yes,
close.
Mhm.
So you can just always, anywhere like, I thought in just about every place you had, where you had terracotta, you could just insert any future development. You don't wanna say that specific one up there, cause maybe that might get de-annexed or something, you
Right.
never know what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
Right now, there's not a new development proposed.
no,
So, but we don't want that first sentence. I'd just take the whole paragraph. out.
Well,
I
any
marked it
future,
out for you.
Okay,
any future development. Cause we do have that acreage.
Just keep it generalized like the comp plan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, page 2.
And that's essentially what I did on the second page. That whole paragraph, the water requirements all the
Yep.
way down to the end of.
Took that one, like that one, the next one, everything down to the chart, take out.
yeah,
And then the stuff on the bottom was okay, wasn't it?
I didn't have anything there.
This,
Mm.
yeah, description of the existing water system, all it is that. It's what we've got now.
Yeah.
But take
how'd they
out,
come up with that 140 acre feet per year? I've seen that through the process, and it says, and this final permit would be 132.5. They kept talking that not quite up to the 140
we
acre
just
feet.
take the number of. That was the formula set by the state back in the day, if you pumped your.
Oh, okay,
24 hours a day and. blah,
okay,
blah,
okay. I wasn't
Which
sure
is
where it
kind of a
came from.
general thing.
Okay, so on page 3,
4.1,
Yeah, I took out the whole first
Yeah.
paragraph.
yeah,
And so you left the second little words.
No, I took out everything under water demands.
Oh,
I did, but that's just my opinion. Water demands.
Well,
if we really-
that could be based on the future.
We could leave the second paragraph in.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was looking at.
Okay,
Yeah.
then just leave it in, that's fine. So then we still have a 4.1.
4.2.1,
4.1.
4.2.1.
Because that's the next page.
Okay,
Yeah, residential indoor demands, second paragraph. Those are from 2019. I've put on here, bring it. current.
update that,
Yeah,
okay.
What are you gonna bring it up to, 2024?
What the most current is that we can get, yeah, I think
Most
2024 if we can.
Okay. But the rest of it's okay on that page, right?
I didn't see anything wrong with the rest of it.
I didn't need it. So if you update that. First, the second paragraph, the third one should be updated also, because it's talking about 2018 and 2019.
Well, those are actual reports that they had done for us already.
Okay, so just leave the second paragraph,
Yeah.
Yeah,
or the third,
and the
Yeah, it's
third paragraph.
referencing.
but update the second paragraph. Okay.
Mm.
Wait a minute, we're gonna update the second to what?
2024.
2024.
Oh, all right.
Kim, you give those numbers.
Okay, gotcha.
Page 5. I took out that for the purposes of this report, third paragraph down.
I did too.
Okay, so you took out the whole thing?
That whole third paragraph, for the purposes of this report.
Mhm.
Well, I would say that's, again, any future development.
Yeah, well, it says the new development, if they can revise that to generalize it to any new development.
Yes,
But then I also put up here at the top, that we need to make reference to the digital meters now. It's not referencing the digital meters on this first paragraph.
Okay, what do we need to say about it?
That, how they're being calculated is, I put on here, reflect more accurate digital meters, so the digital meters are reflecting a more accurate, reading. To read this again, I thought that would fit in.
So you can put some wording in there
Yeah,
that would,
what line are you on that first paragraph?
well, I'm just where I'm looking, I put it out here to the side, I'm like, what prompted me to write that out there?
Is it the
Oh.
second sentence?
Yeah, this-
Attributed to the installation
Yeah.
of.
New,
Yeah.
digital.
digitized.
instead of-
Yeah,
What is it?
cause it is, again, that's more current information for us than back then, you guys weren't even thinking about doing these back then.
Right,
so you, would you say digital individual water meters
just digital.
or just digital?
Yeah, just digital.
Water meters.
At the bottom, 4.2-4.22, I took out the second paragraph. Assumed each lot will have a total of 1/4 acre, because that's talking about,
We don't know that
And I already,
I'm taking
in the
that out.
future.
right.
That's what they had planned for terracotta, but not. Okay, so we did, yeah, take that out.
So take that.
let's see, residential, or the existing development. Existing, okay. Maybe more accurate figures on that
on the
first
first
paragraph.
paragraph, do you wanna put in your 2024
Yeah.
figures? Since you're gonna put them in that other paragraph.
Yeah,
And is that last paragraph on that page 5 of 4.4, 4.22? Does that need to be talked about, how much you're gonna irrigate? Because then again, isn't that based on the 1/4 acre? Or not, or,
it's talking about what was used here in the town for irrigation.
Sprinkler
Yeah.
irrigation.
oh, I'm sorry. Well, isn't that,
It's not talking about development, it's talking about what was
Just what you
used.
use for the.
For your
Lawns.
lawn.
Yeah, that's just.
really here? Okay, all right.
So maybe that needs to be updated to 2024 too.
What about that last one? Therefore, averaged over the entire year, there would be another 40 GPD used for irrigation. Would that be updated too?
What are you looking at?
The very,
last-
we're on
The next
page six,
Last sentence.
starting with therefore, averaged over the entire.
Well, if the numbers for 2024 change, then that number's gonna change too.
Mhm.
I think 4.2.3, I didn't have any changes there. 4.3, we don't need that new development. part,
No, I
do we?
circled that to take that out.
Take
What
that
about,
out.
what about, wait a minute, after on the table, let's go back up a little above 4.3. In the 2018 water report, is that need to be adjusted to a new report, or we gonna still lay that?
That's in that history.
Yeah, that's the last report they did for us.
Okay, so that's okay, that's okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
But 4.3 summary of water demands, they need to revise the language and that,
And then any future proposed development.
yes.
Yeah, not terracotta.
Take out terracotta, yeah,
Yeah,
and then the chart. What would that do to the chart?
They would take out new development,
Okay,
or maybe revise it to future development.
Yeah.
They could take our comp plan and cross our comp plan over into this report. If our comp plan is saying, they're saying those engineers or those, consultants are saying we need to increase our population by whatever, they can reference the town's comp plan on how they write this,
okay,
cause
We have
that's
to pay-
generally
We
speaking.
have to pay right water to do this again, right?
And it's not the whole cost to do it, it's just, that's why I said, you guys need to sit down and get all your revisions up front. Send them to us and we'll make all the revisions and then we'll now call it finalized.
And you can make the revisions and hand us out the revised copy, right?
I'm gonna give it back to Whitewater to do it, I don't have this
Okay.
in a drafting format.
and then they'll give us a copy of it,
Yeah.
just to make sure we got all the.
Yeah,
I like to keep the
I want
cost down.
their language.
Okay.
Updating it since they're taking ownership of the report, so if anything later on, we could go back to them regarding their report that we paid them to do. Does that make sense?
Mhm. So in that last paragraph, or second to last, do we need to, is that 2019 gonna be changed, or is that old history stuff?
Anywhere there's referencing a 2019 report, we need to leave that in there, because that's the last
Okay.
report we had
Okay,
done.
all right,
That's all they have to go off of.
okay. Page 7
Table at the top.
is wrong, it's based on,
It's based
Well, it's-
on terracotta.
yeah, terracotta,
New development.
Yes.
Need to.
what revised for, well. Because that, yeah, that was based on terracotta, wasn't it? So we need to revise that one based on possible,
Yeah, I'm gonna get with them. I'm gonna get our comp plan to them and ask them how they wanna rewrite this. So that they're crossed accurately. It's not indicating one particular development or
Right.
anything.
Just in general. based
Yeah,
on
just
what the
in
future
general.
project-
They really need to go hand in hand. You
Yeah,
know, if the town's got a comp plan saying what they should be doing, you know, for 20 years out, then this needs to kind of echo that.
right.
correct?
If we don't have any specified developments right now, it's speaking
Right.
to. So they'll cross each other. Good thing about this, once this is done, this helps you guys in getting grant money.
Right,
Or it doesn't allow that right now, because everybody's like, what development? You got a
Yeah.
development going in?
Right.
Yeah. No,
5.1, first paragraph, I took the second sentence. out.
yeah, about terracotta, just put in. Future. Development. Wait a minute, well, do we need to take out the 270 acre feet? Or is
Say, I
that,
would just take out that second sentence.
Yeah.
or
this-
they
the
can
whole
rewrite it
second
and
sentence.
say. Development down the road will need or will require.
yeah, cause
Yeah,
that's,
but you really don't know. how
You don't know
much.
until you know what's
You
going
might
on.
only get a
Right.
development of 10 houses, so I would just take that whole sentence out.
Yeah.
okay.
Second paragraph, okay. It's understanding assistance.
I had a question with that sentence that is our understanding that this well is no longer in use, that's the one we wanna possibly use as redundancy well.
See, I didn't know what permit number that well was at the fire station, so that was the question I had.
Oh.
Well, I think it,
Is that the
permit?
well at the fire station?
yeah, that's the first.
Permit number?
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I have that list, Tim, I gave you of the well numbers and every, or
Mhm.
all those,
They're all
Copies?
in your operating agreement now,
oh,
all of those,
okay,
all of your assets.
okay.
I was gonna give them that too and see if they want to incorporate that in here.
I couldn't quite see, it was so teeny.
Huh?
It was so teeny that,
Oh,
that spreadsheet was so small.
pretty much bigger now than that last operating plan I gave.
Yeah, it's a full sheet, I looked at it.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry, I didn't look at that,
That's
so,
okay.
but that's what I came up when I pulled all those well permits too, the
Yeah.
complete well permits. and
And
gave you copies
that
of
should be what's being noted in here too,
Right,
but it's gonna have to be revised.
Yeah.
Because some of those went away.
what, well, I'm sorry,
The ones for their property went away. those water, whatever those rights were over there, those had to be completely,
Yeah, but there was no well. There was
no,
no
there was
well
no well,
permit.
no.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I walked out, are we talking about a well or what?
Yeah, right now they're talking about
Well,
wells
okay.
in 5.1 in the second
Okay,
paragraph.
the second paragraph, the second well permit number 2875 FP allows 15, that's the one at the fire station, right?
Yeah, it's in the lower Dawson, yes.
No,
No?
Which one
the
allows,
alluvial groundwater well is the one over at the shop.
Right, but the second, says this final permit,
which one
second,
allows
what, the
15
second well
acre feet?
permit allows 15 acre feet to be produced from the lower Dawson bedrock. That's that one at the fire station.
Yes, that is the one at the fire station.
Yeah,
Okay,
cause that's in the
That
lower
one
Dawson.
does only offer 15 acre square feet and only about 30 days of emergency services if you needed it.
okay,
Yeah, so this is the fire station.
Yeah, as I say, and Donnie had in his thing, add language concerning the well at the firehouses backup. If that's what we end up doing, but
Right,
And that's just the option until we know.
correct,
right.
Yeah.
because if you get the 5 million,
it's
that's
our understanding this well's no longer in use.
So is that
This is what concerns me.
a correct statement? I don't think, well,
It is,
it's,
no
Well,
longer
it's
in
not
use.
being used now.
It's
It's
not
not,
being used.
it's not connected to our main system. It does
It's
not have a
capped or-
clarification.
it's not
system.
plugged, it's just capped.
It does not, yeah, it's just capped. It's
Yeah.
not abandoned.
Yeah, it's not abandoned.
Yeah,
So I think that can stay in there as it is.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, there's work to get it hooked into our system, but it's not abandoned. We can still use
Right.
it.
Still viable.
And again, we're short on what we only have 132 acre feet. And
Right.
we're already needing 140.
Well, we don't know until, well, if we start using that old fire station well, then we're gonna probably have it tested again to see what it's actually
Oh,
gonna
it's got to go
produce.
through all of that.
Right.
Yeah, but it may adjust the figures,
Yeah.
you know. Those, when was the last time you used it? Was way back when. So you don't know until it's
17.
retested to see what it's
Yeah.
actually gonna produce.
Mhm.
Or pump rather.
Mm.
Okay,
The next paragraph, last line, take out the, so it just says, but not new development. So we're not talking about the
Yeah, I already.
Verify.
right. I think the next paragraph's okay.
Okay.
I marked down here on that table revised to remove Digby, return of water rights.
Right,
where are you at?
page 8.
Revised to
table.
remove all the Digby stuff
Mhm.
from the table, okay.
Well, it's Digby and Fair, Mayfair.
Yeah.
Mayfield.
Mayfield. Guys, you want me to order you lunch? Are you gonna stay long enough for lunch?
Oh, well, I got an appointment. If you
Okay.
guys want-
I couldn't get it ordered till 11. It's 11:25, so I have no problem ordering it right now.
I'm
It'll take
fine.
about 30 minutes.
I think I'm okay not to have
Oh,
lunch.
nobody else is.
Yeah.
I'll go.
You will?
I'm
So it's just like, hello.
Well, I'm not sure, cause I've got an appointment I gotta get to too, and so I don't know
Yeah.
how long this is gonna take.
Okay.
So I'll just, thank you anyway.
A new groundwater well drilled into one of the aquifers would result in KWWA use of the existing, do we need that in there?
I don't know. Let me ask Brightwater.
You know, use
Right under
Denver
the-
Basin.
Yeah, under
Right
the,
under the chart.
As of right now, we're using the Denver Basin. Existing,
No.
it's saying.
We're
No,
using
we're using
alluvial
alluvial.
groundwater. We're not even in a basin.
So
We're
why is it saying use of the existing Denver Basin groundwater rights?
it's Denver Basin.
So we
That
have
includes all the,
It
Yeah.
includes Lucille and what.
Okay.
that table up there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what it's referring to, is what we
Okay.
have in the Denver Basin as far as rights.
Denver Basin is different than Denver Aquifer.
ask them if we need that, I don't know.
Okay.
Some questions.
Again, that next paragraph too is gonna be, it has to be adjusted, basically getting rid of the Digby and Mayfield.
Yes.
So that goes to either
Well,
all.
and Teresa, is there anything you guys can't eat?
Sardines, yeah.
Me either.
Oh,
Same
What'd
sheet
you
there.
say?
yeah,
Oh, no.
yeah,
I
no,
don't like.
no
it.
sardines.
anchovies.
My dog gave me some for Christmas.
Oh.
And I looked at her and said, how old are you? Have you ever seen me eat these? Or have you ever seen me use these as fish bait? Yeah, sorry, mom. I'm like. No, it was terrible.
Okay, so we're down to the,
What are we gonna do with those 3 paragraphs?
well, they're gonna be,
After
they're
the
gonna be
chart.
revised. They're gonna be revised, like the
the
chart,
ones that are right below it.
yeah,
Yeah.
except for
That last.
the last paragraph about the 300-year aquifer thing that we gotta take out terracotta and put in there.
Mhm.
Any future development, not terracotta,
Mhm.
Mhm.
okay?
Just take the last sentence out.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, and then,
Well, just the terracotta,
well, but you could just take out that whole last,
You don't
and
really-
just put,
you
in
just-
addition, some planning agencies require the new development, you could just take out that whole
Okay,
last sentence
okay.
and color good.
yeah,
Just take out the last.
yep.
And then the bottom of the page, that paragraph should be taken out, the estimated maximum day
Yeah.
water demand.
Mhm.
Should be
Both of them.
completely taken out,
Wait a minute.
over to the next page.
Yeah, what, 5.2 should be no,
The first paragraph's okay, it's just facts,
all right, just let me see this.
Yeah,
but the second paragraph leads on to the next page. and
Yeah,
that
should be
go
gone.
away.
Completely,
Now, if that, that annex land up there across from the new road and bridge, if that is ever developed, that's gonna need their own well too,
Actually,
copy or not?
what's weird is our jurisdiction stops on County Road 134, on the
Right.
west side of the road.
Yes,
On the east side of the road, it's all county, all the way up to the land that's fenced in around the
water
water
tower,
tower. So there's a gap
Hmm.
between County Road 134 and the land up there by the water tower that's annexed into the.
but
town.
aren't you isn't that 94 acres annexed by Highway 86, annexed to you because of the highway?
Mm-mm,
No,
no.
I always thought that's how you could annex things distance away.
I thought they all had to be connecting. But county assessor's office says it's fine. We ran into this problem. We have Mayfield's mad at us because when Digby de-annexed and didn't include them, that left them out there on a little island.
Mm.
They have never, ever received any town services, ever. We did not extend water services to them. They're still on their well. So,
Are they
It-
connected to the town?
no.
Oh.
Not now,
No.
they were before, weren't they?
They only were because they sat right in the middle of Digby's property.
Right,
That was the only reason.
I
they were
thought that
connected
was,
to the town.
because Wamble annexed the house that they lived in, which is where
Well,
Mayfield.
did, I keep saying Digby because that's the most current.
Yeah.
But they set out in the middle of that property, and when Digby de-annexed, everything around them became de-annexed, but
but they
them.
didn't,
He didn't include them,
cause he didn't own them.
I
cause
thought he did, I thought he did the whole
he
117.
gave it back their water rights. It is incumbent on them to sue us to de-annex them, or sue Digby because he didn't include them. We don't just take the action of de-annexing them, the municipality doesn't do that. They have to ask or sue us to be
Yeah,
de-annexed, it has to go through court. So they're still sitting out there annexed into the town with their own water rights being given back to them,
Only part of them.
only part of it, but they're ticked because they sit out there and they're paying us taxes. And we're not going to court, there's no way for us to go to court and just de-annex them.
how big is their property?
It's like 4.6 something,
4.07 or something like that,
I think it's bigger than that,
And who owned them?
Mayfield's.
Okay.
they bought it from Wamble.
So when that whole thing started with them, they came in here and they were mad at us because they're saying, you can't keep us annexed, you can't keep us annexed, because now we sit out there in a little island and we have to touch
And you
some
don't.
line of the town, and they don't. The only thing that touches is their driveway where it comes in off of Pawnee. That's Pawnee. So that's the only thing that's touching is the driveway. the lawyers see it differently. The assessor's office sees it differently. They're like, you can annex it in. There could be a gap between this annexed property and that annexed property. Clearly it is. If you go on the assessor's website, it shows the black solid lines of the jurisdictional boundaries of what is owned by the town of Kiowa. Or I shouldn't say owned by it, I should say annexed into the town of Kiowa. And that whole area up by the water tower is annexed in and shows in town limits. The space between that and County Road 134 shows county. And then the line starts on the west side of County Road 135 and only goes around the ag business. But interestingly enough, it doesn't show your sewer plant
No.
in town limits.
No.
But you
So I've
got a
been working
deed
at it to
that says it
that.
is.
Well,
So that's something
Is
I'm
that the
dealing with them
assessor?
on.
Is that-
Yes.
Well,
well, again,
Yeah,
it's Silver County.
yeah,
Silver County
yeah, if you're on the
assessors.
Elbert County map, it doesn't have the sewer section, so I'm working on that.
but
We're confident.
seriously, I was always under the, told this, I mean, even in other states, that you can annex a piece of land by a highway.
We can. We can do that. We aren't gonna spend the money to do that. All we would be doing is annexing in the right of ways down 86. We can't annex in just the property that comes off 86. We can only annex in the right of ways down 86, which means then we're required to maintain them. Not CDOT. And there's no reason in the world why the town would want to add to their bucket something else for them to maintain.
Right,
Okay, so how is the water tower annexed into the town then if it isn't by 86?
It's part of that property up there. It's part of that property. It was split out as part of that property up there. Carved out, it's my understanding, to put the
But
water
it is
tower
on.
on.
That's what I'm saying, cause, well, this is like what happened in Elizabeth, when Marshall wanted to annex that property, that 320 acres or more over there on County Road 3, he was annexing by Highway 86 into the town of Elizabeth.
Elizabeth has annexed in the right of ways.
But
down
they-
86.
huh?
Elizabeth has done that.
Oh, they'd annexed the right of way,
Yes, they have.
the
all way
highway,
Further out, yeah, yep.
so that's how it could be annexed that way, but we haven't, town of Kiowa hasn't annexed any part of 86.
No, we
Okay.
have not.
All right,
Statutory law makes us responsible for the curb lines out here. But we have not annexed in the curb lines outside of the town limits. We've not done that.
okay, I'm sure that's
Yes.
okay, page 9. We got rid of those top couple lines, next paragraph. Do we wanna leave all that in there?
where we at? I'm sorry.
Page 9.
Yeah, I see.
KWWA investigated the well yields of nearby wells, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just,
It's just general information, so we
Yeah.
can just leave all that, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and then down to 6.0 then. Take out that second bullet point.
Or just put system capacity to serve any new development.
Yeah, you could, any new development, yeah, that's fine.
Just in case.
New groundwater well, first sentence, we need to. Take out, or just put any new development instead of the new development at the
Yeah.
end of that sentence. Interesting, I've never heard that the Arapahoe Aquifer was better than the Lower Dawson.
Oh, it isn't, not from the Dawson, but the
Well,
Denver.
it says that, it says the Arapahoe typically is more desirable than water quality normally found in the Lower
Oh,
Dawson.
or Lower Dawson, Denver, or Laramie Fox Hills, it should
Yeah, but
say,
the Lower Dawson's better than the Arapahoe.
well, yeah, but the Denver is horrible.
Well,
So
the
maybe
Den-
should,
the
maybe should
Denver-
normally found in the Denver, cross out Lower Dawson. And
Oh.
Laramie Fox Hills.
Yeah, I would take out
Is-
the Lower Dawson, because that's not true, the Upper and Lower Dawson are the best water.
but these are engineers that were paying to tell us what they are.
Well, do we live
Our
out
well
here?
is in the Lower Dawson, and it is the best
Oh,
water.
oh,
in
it
the
is,
world.
it's dynamite water.
So
Yeah.
I'll run this by them.
Yeah, say that's a
I've-
mistake.
I've never heard that before, we've done water rights for people for years and years, that the Arapahoe was better than the Lower Dawson.
Nothing is better than the Dawsons.
No.
Lower Dawson is better than the Arapahoe. Is that what your contention
No,
is?
you're saying that the,
The Arapahoe aquifer typically is more desirable than water quality normally found in the Denver and Laramie Fox Hills.
Hills
It's not better than the water in the
better.
Lower Dawson.
Yeah. so just cross out Lower Dawson. The Denver and the Laramie Fox Hills are less desirable than the Arapahoe.
Yeah, the deeper you go, the worse it gets,
Well,
basically, except for the
Except for
upper
that-
and lower Dawsons are both real good.
yeah, but the Denver is crap in between.
Right,
Gotta be selective here.
One of you speak, tell me what I need to talk to them about. The water quality in what is more desirable than what?
water quality in the Arapahoe
Oh, is-
aquifer is more desirable
Oh,
than
then-
the water quality normally found in the.
Denver
And
and Laramie Fox Hills.
Just
Cross
take
out
out-
Lower Dawson, take Lower Dawson out.
Take out lower Dawson.
Oh, just take out Lower Dawson?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
take it out.
Oh, I thought you were swapping them around.
No,
No.
no, 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 no.
Okay, take out Lower
So
Dawson.
just saying
Okay.
Arapahoe's better than the Denver and the Laramie Fox Hills. That's what we want to
Okay.
say. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Now, the next page, it's got. You know, in a new. Arapahoe will likely,
Yeah, that
that's
needs to,
true, I mean,
Yeah.
it will,
Okay, so 6.1.1 location. They did,
what about above that?
I have nothing.
I think
up
everything's
there.
okay there.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
I have
Yeah.
nothing up there. What caught my attention was the fact that we know Brightwater came back out here and did site visits at 3 or 4 different places and determined the best place then to put this well. And it was determined that the best place for it is right next to the current one over behind the shop. So should they identify that now as the best location? Because they actually did the legwork, the site visits, and determined back then when we were looking at that development, that that would be the best place to put it. Right now, it's just saying, should be 250 feet by 250 feet to allow room.
Take out the second paragraph. Cause we're not really
Yes,
talking
the
about,
second paragraph is what I'm talking about.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
First
maybe
paragraph's
identify,
okay.
based off their site visits and the work conducted in 2023, it has been determined that the best place to locate this is next to the current well at the shop.
But isn't that what that second paragraph says? That the new well should be drilled on the parcel that currently contains the existing well, booster pump station, 100,000 gallon storage tank. This site is satisfactory given its proximity to other system components, including the booster pump station, chlorine injection system, storage tank, and easy access. So it's saying that's where it should go, yeah.
Should it note
But I
that
would
based
take
on
that paragraph out. I don't think you
research in
need-
2023 that that's, should they identify that 2023 that it is, or just leave it as is? I don't know.
Since there may not even be a new well.
We don't know that.
I know.
If you get the $5 million, you're gonna want the nice well, or you're gonna want one that only lasts.
So you wanna
50
say
acre
not
feet?
the new well, but any new well,
Cause here's the
or
thing,
a new well? The new well, we're always referring to terracotta in here.
we are, but here's the thing. Just because Kraft's identified as the person under contract for these, doesn't mean he'll always be the one under contract for these. This one up here, he's only under contract right now. I don't know where it stands. It's in probate because that guy killed it, was
Got
killed in
killed.
a high skydiving thing. So if he decides to let that go because he doesn't want to mess with us.
Who, Digby?
Yeah, no,
He doesn't own that
Kraft.
up there.
Kraft.
It's another man that owns that. Now it's in probate with his kids because he's dead
Another
So-
man owns what?
That
the-
94 acres up.
up the
Oh.
hill. So and there's other areas identified in our comp plan that the town could annex in for future development. So again, is this a situation where we go back and we reference the town's comp plan and cross it with this one for any future development?
Cause it's talking about.
Because-
It's talking about a new well on that parcel of property, so it's specifically talking about terracotta.
No, it's
No,
not about.
on the
no.
parcel.
That
No.
$100,000 storage tank is the one over there by the shop.
Over here in town.
They're just saying
It's in town,
new
Connie.
redundancy well or new well.
Well, yeah, any development we have in here,
That any new well, how
it's,
about that instead of that?
it
Any new
is,
well be drilled on the parcel of concurrent.
I like that.
Yeah,
But any development we have is gonna require a bigger well.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
And, our little, if we narrow this down to just one little well that only gives us 15 acre feet, then we're shooting ourselves in the foot. We need to be able to account for in the future, if we have any development, any annexation that brings on any development that
Yeah, we
increases
don't
our
have enough
population,
water.
we have to have it.
yeah, you have to have more than the one at the fire station.
Right.
But is it gonna be the same situation as what was with terracotta where that is going to be such a big development, you're going to require them to put a well in that development, in that subdivision?
I don't know until we know what development's coming in here and what that looks like. Right now, all we're looking at is a redundancy system that's
Okay.
required by the state
Right.
for us right
We
now.
can't look at that.
Yeah, we're not looking at we're not gonna say, oh, if this development has this or this development has that, we have no idea what's gonna come down the road. So this needs to be generalized
Well,
to,
right now.
Right,
But what I'm saying is that let's say that 94 acres east of town is developed. Aren't they gonna be required to drill a well out there?
yes,
Just like they were gonna be required down here?
I don't know.
I
Laura,
would
I'm
think-
I'm not a water engineer. and
Okay.
I have no idea.
well, they
what
can't
the-
hook into our water, we don't have enough. so
That's what I'm
they
saying.
Most likely have to drill a well, but it's
we
gonna
put an
depend on
extension in there
what their
for them
water
to do
rights
it.
are.
There's an extension there for them to hook into us. Across from the road and bridge.
But they
building.
need, we would need to know how many water rights they have and stuff, because we have
Yes,
enough water.
yeah, we don't have any of that.
Uh,
Whatever's under the ground up there has not been given to us in water rights.
Yes, it has.
Up the hill by the water tower,
Not by the water tower, but that 94 acres has been given to you. That was part of that determination.
up the hill,
That's part of that whole determination.
okay, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I just didn't.
Everything,
better than I
that's why I
did.
said there was that map that is really an interesting map, and I remember I charted out the different pieces and everything. There was terracotta, there was the main part of Kiowa that had never been adjudicated, then there's the fairgrounds, and then there's the vista, that 94 acres out east of Kiowa. That's all in that
Then I
determination.
misspoke then.
It's all there.
Okay, so we have those water rights.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Everything that's been annexed in the
I
town.
misspoke, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay, that's okay. It's hard to figure out if you don't, that's why they had a map that was part of the determinations, each one of the determinations in the back, and that's why, as an exhibit. And that's why I went through and drew pictures around and figured out how many acres and all that acre feet were for all that stuff.
Okay,
But we
So-
already own.
okay, well, there's an
We're not
extension that
connected
goes there.
Gotcha.
Pardon me?
So the rest of that 6.2 chlorine system of building is okay, right?
Right.
Does it apply to any?
Cause that's already what we need to have to put a well in over there. That's part of that process now for that project.
Okay, about the 6.3 existing booster pump station. Rehab, but we don't need to do that.
Again, 6.4. When we first started this back in 2020, that whole project was $1.58 million. Now we're at $5 million.
Mhm.
Yes.
So that needs to be updated.
Updated the probable costs. capital
And make reference to a green sand system recommendation if needed.
Okay,
Right.
In that first paragraph?
6.4,
Yeah.
opinion of probable capital.
Right,
costs.
but
First paragraph, the 6.3 is okay, it just talks about rehabbing the tank.
Which we already have, you know.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I understand that.
We're,
This is on
we're already
6.4.
starting to work on that.
Well, we
Yeah.
probably need to revise that.
You need to
Well,
say that that's being,
Here's what I'm gonna try. If we get this done and get this in print, I'm gonna see if I can find grant money to get that done for us. It's noted in here, it's needed.
Were the interior
I'll
surfaces
see if I can
inspected? They
They
were
got
not.
some grant money that might help us. So
They
I
were,
don't
they
know if I
were,
can, but leaving it in here wouldn't hurt.
they were
Leave it in
inspected,
here, I would.
because it has to be every 5 years.
Cause it says they were
So-
not inspected
I
the
mean,
last
we
time.
need
Not-
grant money.
Not at this time, but
I
in
know.
2022.
That's the only
Maybe
thing,
we
it's-
should say the
it's hold up.
interior surfaces
So I'll
were
have that
inspected
conversation
in
with them. This is the
2022.
situation, how we
How about that?
verbalize that and.
Update that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Last sentence of 6.3 should say, were inspected in 2022.
Yeah, because this happened, this was
Sorry.
before.
Yeah.
That it was inspected. And then McGuire's supposed to be getting together with Paul and looking inside just to double check stuff before they,
but didn't they say
whatever.
the outside was sound and everything was okay with the outside?
Yeah, but they're still gonna sand and paint it. I mean,
Sure,
it's structurally okay, but they were gonna sand
Yeah,
and
it
paint it.
looks kind of,
But they're gonna double check on the inside to make sure there's nothing crazy in there.
okay.
Is page 12 okay? Because we really don't.
12 is okay for me. All they're doing is laying out what we have
That's what
available.
I was, this is all okay. And 13 also, because it just talks about grants.
Yeah.
And same with 14, we don't.
Mhm. The next page I had was
Page 15,
15.
future work.
Well, they need to change our website on there.
Where's that at? Oh,
Under reference.
some reference, okay.
All the other things, even, I mean, it mentions Debbie down here, but it's because there's an email in here with those water determinations that was
Right.
used as backup information. So. All the rest of this is their backup and
Yeah.
references. This whole report's really only 15 pages.
I know,
Right.
do we really need the rest of this in there?
It's.
Yes,
Yeah, it's substantiating the information that's in the report.
well, it shows the ownership and everything. what's
And
going-
this is their report, so they need to make
Right.
the
Well,
determination.
that's
So
appendix
this
A,
is
but
just
then
the
appendix B,
supporting document.
yes, and then, but that proves that all the area that is. That has a determination, let me see if that's,
So
that,
Donnie said, discuss the idea of having a town maintenance, KWWA.
He did.
Not sure where that goes in.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. Donnie's a little frustrated right now.
Okay, we'll just leave Donnie alone.
I'm a little frustrated with our current maintenance.
With
Well,
what?
I can see that too, so.
He's frustrated with our current maintenance people. Personally. So he's wanting to, he's thinking that if we had an internal one. That's here more often that we pay off the books, it might give a different level of
maintenance.
service.
Because of right now, how many days does he work?
Well, he's supposed to have 13 hours a week split up amongst 3 days,
Yeah.
so
And what else is he supposed to do?
everything,
Yeah.
everything in those 3 days.
I don't think he can do that in the hours.
It's not doing it,
So,
it's not doing it now, I can tell you that, Brett.
yeah,
I mean, what's he supposed to do separate from the town of Kiowa? Does he work for the town of Kiowa or?
He has many.
KWWA? Huh?
He has a lot of accounts.
Yeah.
Other municipalities, that's why he's only here 3 days a week for a certain number of hours, because he's splitting his time amongst other municipalities, and most of them are up by Denver. So anytime he has to come here on an emergency or otherwise, it's 30 minutes or more. Drive time here, response time. And that his 13 hours a week is split, we're trying to get that lagoon sucked out.
mhm,
So he's only spending an hour, so that's why it's taking so long. Rather than paying $13,000 for McDonald's Farms, to come over and do it one day.
Yeah.
He's come over and doing it periodically.
That's not Paul's job?
Well, Paul's doing it now. He went and got a machine and he's doing it slowly. Over the time he spends here in Kiowa, that's why it's taken so long. That's why we keep having to communicate back and forth with CDPHE. On getting it done, so we quit getting violation letters or threats of, sanctions or whatever they call them. I sent you guys that draft report yesterday because I
So
wanted to-
maintenance, you're talking maintenance is Paul, you're talking.
maintenance and maintaining the water system and the waste, it's
Yes,
all
Paul,
on Paul.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking you were talking about the town maintenance guy.
No, he's not allowed to touch it. Before, he had a little key and he's going around town, he's shutting off water at different places and I took his key away. Told me he's not allowed to do it. He's not licensed, with your water system to be touching it.
Yeah, but 13 hours a week's not enough to maintain the water.
No, and if he had
there's,
more
I mean, there's
employees,
not the way, because
No.
there's a lot of issues within the town. That I've even brought to his attention and stuff.
And we have
The
to,
building down there.
part of his time with us is, we have to consider his time to get here. I mean,
Yeah.
no, I'm just saying, if we have a water main break,
Yeah,
he's the one that shuts that off.
isn't there anybody else? I mean, we had trouble with Paul before. Before him.
This
Okay,
might
so
be
all
a
this stuff-
discussion better had with,
All this junk stays in here then, huh?
yeah.
Okay, I have I just found the map. It's after the Denver, it's attached to the Denver aquifer determination.
It's in a B.
It's this map and this, remember I gave you one that I wrote everything on there.
Laurel,
Yeah.
honey, you have given me a lot of stuff.
But anyway, this is what I was talking about. This is the one that says, this helps you, Kim, here's that Kiowa Heights. This shows all the areas that these determinations cover.
Yeah, I see it
And
now.
it's 541.86 acres or something total. Fairgrounds, the center of Kiowa, which had never been adjudicated before, Terracotta, and then Kiowa Heights.
And
So all of this is
two-
gonna have to come out of here.
Page 2, okay, what about all the references to terracotta in this?
Right, that's what I just said. Now
Well,
that I'm
no,
looking at it now.
those are, huh? That was that email.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Matt.
we can't change those.
No, that's an email, that's just reference,
That's just
that's a bold reference,
all of the rest of it is all.
yeah.
But-
so
They're
the
done.
email stays the same,
Yeah.
but look at, okay, we're on
These are
the,
all the determinations.
yeah.
Yes.
Look at the one on page 3 of 3726 BD. The place of use was the terracotta overlying.
No, these are, you know this, don't you? These are set in concrete.
Yeah.
They never change.
Even though terracotta
They're-
never,
They're never changed,
These are like old emails.
because
that were
terracotta is now big,
Right, actually.
big B and fair and, what you call it?
So what they'll have to do now, Jill, is,
this is a
Determination,
determination from the state,
that's right, they don't
but it's
change.
got terracotta.
They don't change, because, just a minute, let me just show you something. Get back to that map. The map is referencing these areas that they talked about to tell you how many
Right,
acre feet,
right,
right?
yeah.
It doesn't matter
Okay.
whether terracotta doesn't exist, that area
Okay.
exists,
Got it.
and that's what we gave to Digby, okay, does that make sense?
so now what they'll probably do is come back in and give the revised water rights, what's been given
No, no,
back to him.
No,
We don't own those.
just a minute, let me just kind of tell you something real quick, and you know this too, Jeff. That these determinations are like a deed. They are deed, they have severed the ownership of the water rights from the land. These are technically deeds, they are taken in the town of Kiowa and KWWA, and that's another issue here, that the ownership is this way. But once they are done, then from that point on, they have to be, anytime you sell any land, you have to do it by a special warranty deed, and that's something that your attorney said, we want to do a quick claim deed because we don't want any responsibility. But the Denver Division of Water Resources says they should be done with a special warranty deed for this term of the determinations, so that. And so this is the first deed, it's like a patent. And then the next deed was from town of Kiowa to Digby. That shows that part of this determination, part of this land, and water rights, ownership of the water rights were transferred to Digby by those two that one deed.
Okay, well, I'll let Brightwater figure it
So
out. then.
now we've gotta have another quitclaim deed. We have to have the county do stuff, something has to happen,
The county,
or something has to happen to get that water. You know, get those water rights.
all these water rights, that's what Matt brought out in that email. It says, he asked Debbie 2 questions. Since it was taken in the town of Kiowa and KWWA's name, that means it was joint, that's what I've been talking about all the time. That he said, should I do a deed from the town of Kiowa into, yes, so that the water rights are all in KWWA's name? That never happened,
Mhm.
not in 2019, and then there was that deed in 2023, remember that? The town was supposed to sign, or that Rick Cohen was supposed to sign, and it never got done. So
It's signed. I'm gonna file it July 1st
July 1st of what,
Mhm.
this year.
and Rick signed it?
I'm waiting until July 1st because I'm not paying $248 to file that sucker again.
What do you
I'm gonna
mean?
pay $50 to file
It's
it,
gonna cost,
page by page by.
what page? You're not recording the determinations?
Whatever's attached to that, Laurel, has to be, all I did is have him sign it.
Right, but there
In
was,
order to refile it, they have to put a sticker on every single page.
okay, let's back up. You're only recording the actual deed, the special warranty deed. Which should be only probably maybe 5 pages at the most. You're not re-recording the whole determinations. That's got nothing to do with that deed.
But
The
here's thing.
determinations were referenced.
Here's the
I'm
thing,
sorry.
Laurel,
Okay,
I do what my attorneys tell me to do.
okay, all right, then that's fine, that's
And-
fine.
And I told my attorneys, if the county's telling me I have to pay $13 for the first page and $5
for each
for every
additional.
other page, and it cost us $248 the first time we filed it, then we're gonna file it July 1st when they change their terms, and then all we gotta pay is $50.
So what your attorneys told you to record,
Yes.
that was an exhibit A to that ordinance.
Laurel,
I'm sorry.
I.
I'm sorry, I'm not
gonna
questioning
argue
you.
This with you, cause it's our attorneys and I have to do what the attorneys.
I
tell us to
understand,
do.
and I disagree with them for that
Okay.
reason.
Seder Vanderwall or the
Duly
water?
noted. I have to go back and look, Jill.
Okay.
Okay, all right, that's This is just.
And what
By
happens
signing
then, once you get that filed, then where are we? What's the?
Then KWWA owns all the water
Yes.
rights,
From over there.
everything. Yeah,
Everything.
but Digby doesn't own the water rights from
From over there.
over there, from
From
us.
Digby's property, is what you're saying.
They only
We're
own,
gonna own
they
them.
only own 50% of them, Digby does, because
I wonder if he knows that.
Nick Pop, I brought that up in that meeting and
Nick
he
Poppy's
told
not
me,
his attorney, Nick Poppy's not gonna
he
tell
told
him
me,
anything.
he said, there were 4 attorneys in that meeting, remember when you guys,
Yes.
the two water
And
attorneys?
consultants.
And he said, remember, and it's in the minutes, he said to me, cause I was asking the question,
Yeah.
he said. If there were 4 attorneys there and 2 of them were Digby's attorneys, and he said, if this was not done correctly. Digby's attorneys would be letting us know real quick. Never heard a word.
We never heard a word.
I know.
It took an
How come we get
God
water
to
rights
get
if
him to call us
it's
back.
the annex?
That's what, is it that?
Because of the determinations that were taken in both of our names. And the town of Kiowa never, based on this email, that, Matt, he's the water attorney, he's the one that said. Do you want to transform, because all the assets were supposed to be in KWW's name. These determinations were taken in 2 names because the original town of Kiowa had never been adjudicated. That's why they did it in both. And then they were supposed to, the town of Kiowa was supposed to sign for that deed in 2003.
Or to all go to KW?
To go to KWW, it never happened, and that's what
It
Nick,
was filed, it wasn't signed.
no, it was never filed, it was it was an exhibit A, seriously, it was an exhibit A to the ordinance.
So how does Digby gonna keep 50%? You're saying,
He was given the town of Kiowa's 50%. Of the water rights,
he's,
but he
Right.
doesn't have KWWA's
Right.
50%. So he's not gonna be able to get them.
But he owns that land.
He owns the
Yes,
land, he
he
doesn't
owns
own the
it.
water rights because they were adjudicated by this.
Did he have the water rights to start with? when
No,
he bought the
no,
land?
no.
Oh.
He never had them.
Okay.
Wombo did, and Wombo
Wombo.
adjudicated them and signed them.
This is the entire document.
Wombo gave him to.
Already filed with a sticker
Yeah.
on the entire thing, all the way through the document. There is
So Ricky shouldn't
41
get any.
pages of this.
that's why I'm saying, why does he get?
This is what Rick did not sign. This is what's being refiled. It was already filed.
It was filed with, see, look at this page, it says page 3 of 41. This was that ordinance. This is the recorded documents with the ordinance. That's a completely different document. This was an
That's the
exhibit
one that
A.
wasn't signed, Laurel, that's the one you sent me.
I know it wasn't signed because it was an exhibit A to an ordinance. It was supposed to be pulled out separately without any recording on it and signed and then recorded by itself. So it should have only been 2 pages. 2 pages for this special warranty deed, and you don't have to have the determinations behind it, seriously.
I'll let my lawyer.
Seriously,
you said.
yes, please do, because that is a big chunk of money, and that's
It's a huge
confusing
chunk
the
of
issue.
money.
It's a confusing the issue, because it's already been recorded as part of the ordinance. The ordinance was page 1 and 2, and this starts at 3 and through 41, 3 through 41. This does not need to be recorded again, this has been recorded so many times. But it
We
was,
didn't have a signature on it last time.
I know, and that's real, because it was exhibit A, it was not meant to be a standalone deed. Seriously.
So by signing that, you're saying, Laurel, that takes away Digby's 50%?
No,
Ain't that thing?
Mm-mm.
no, it transfers town of KWWA's,
To us?
yeah,
The 50%?
yeah, because this was done, this is not signed until,
How come Digby's getting 50%?
because
I'm not a water person, Laurel
Yeah.
knows.
these determination were taken in the town of Kiowa and KWWA. This deed here was supposed to. Town of Kiowa was supposed to transfer to KWWA their share of all these,
Okay, right,
Please.
so where's Digby in the whole?
well, they never
Sure.
filed this. This has never been recorded,
It still doesn't answer the question of why, how come? Digby
because the
gets
town of
50%?
Kiowa,
How come Digby still should get 50%?
well, because that was part of the agreement with that lawsuit. That Digby was gonna de-annex, and the de-annexation
Oh, when
agreement,
he de-annexed, the
Yeah.
town agreed to give him,
because that,
Water
the,
rights?
Stipulated.
it was
He-
stipulated that
He
de-annex
painted them back. Because when they signed the annexation,
with
the
Wombo.
agreement was if there had a de-annex, the town would return those water rights with the de-annexation.
Right, so that's how they got it, but the fact that this was never signed in 2023. And I thought your attorney, I got the impression that Nick said, we found some issues. And I thought, that's the issue. But he said everything was fine, so I don't know. I don't know why they agreed to go ahead and deed Digby the water rights, which is technically only half of the water rights. The ownership of the water rights. It's not the water rights itself, it's the ownership of the water rights. Because of these determinations was in two
The
names.
town of Kiowa agreed to do that in order for him to de-annex.
Right, but they only gave him town of Kiowa's share.
Right,
And so that's
so
what
he's
this is.
still gonna get half of the water rights and we're gonna get half.
That's right.
KWWA.
That's right.
How many acre feet is that?
No, it isn't. It's the ownership. He has to have 100% ownership in order to drill a well,
Oh.
unless he's gonna drill a well with KWWA jointly. No, that ain't
Why
gonna
do you have
happen.
to have 100%? If you've got water rights, if you've got 100 acre feet?
No, it's
And
not
it's
the
half
acre
of
feet,
the-
it's the ownership. It's
But
the,
if, oh,
it's the ownership. It's the ownership of the water rights.
Oh, here, give me that one back.
Yeah, I know, I'm not gonna. But seriously,
so he doesn't
Yeah.
own
I don't wanna get that
anything.
one lost.
He doesn't own anything.
So he can't drill
He
a
own-
well without going through us. to
Yes.
say,
yes, he owns 50% of the
Water
ownership,
rights.
of the ownership of the water rights.
So in other words, if he wants to develop and put his well out there, is what you're saying is, he's gotta come to
Us and get the,
KWWA and say.
we have to deed him the other 50% of the ownership. He doesn't
or He
own,
can keep it and they drill a well and then we get proceeds off of it,
I don't know how that works. I don't think he can drill the well if he doesn't own 100%.
unless we agree to it with him.
Yeah.
As a party.
Yeah, but
Well, can't you? I didn't know you could, if you have water rights, you can drill a well and use that many water rights.
Right.
that's if you own 100% of the ownership. Remember, this is ownership.
Sash, I'm gonna run grab those pizzas.
Who knows?
Well, I hope you have a good water attorney, because I'm not convinced that you have had in the past.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying,
We
that,
don't,
This is,
we don't have a water attorney, what's your water?
Sid Vanderwall referred us to a water attorney, remember?
Mhm.
A couple, 3 months ago, that answered some questions for Paul at Seder Vanderwall, remember, he talked to some.
You
of
guys
the-
have a water attorney, we don't have a water.
No, no, I'm talking about KWWA.
Oh, yeah, that's, I
Yeah,
was like,
I hope it's a better one than what,
Paul, Polito,
but he referred us to a water.
yeah,
attorney.
to Hoffman,
Fritz Hoffman.
yeah,
Definitely better than your previous one.
or Hoffman,
Holloman.
Holman.
Definitely
Sorry.
better than your previous.
Well, and like I said, Matt is the one that you guys use, he's the one that did his
He
determination.
should be using David Showett, shouldn't he? But that's not.
Well, the point is, we don't have to have a water attorney to look at a deed and
Are
say,
we, are we
Doesn't-
considering this meeting done?
I think we are.
So we adjourn it.
Adjourn
Adjourn
it.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned at 12:04 on April 29th.